Good day, everybody. Welcome back to the OC Real Estate Playbook. As always, I'm your host, Hunter Renner, and today we have back on the show Pablo Renner, my dad. Pablo, say hi.
How you doing? How's everybody out there?
Hope everyone's doing well. Without further ado, let's get right into it.
Okay.
Today we're going to be discussing the seller process. We've gone over the buyer process, gone over some question and answers, and open your guys' mind to what real estate really is. But today we're going to be focusing on what a real estate agent does in order to sell your home and what responsibilities, and kind of walk you through the process of what it would look like for you to sell your home.
Okay.
So get us started. Where does the selling process start?
I guess, if you go back far enough where a person actually decides to get the home sold,
Mm-hmm.
it sounds kind of elementary to say, but some people, when the market is really hot, sometimes say, hey, if I can get a certain number, that number excites them. And they might want to sell a house simply because they can cash out, and what we find is during the regular market, unless there's a reason to sell, it's really not, if they're not motivated and there's not a reason to sell, it's difficult to get it done.
Yeah.
Right. Because no offer is going to ever be good enough.
Right.
So one thing I always ask clients is, are you absolutely ready to get the home sold? Right. Because they need to be able to answer yes in their mind.
Okay.
And so that's the first thing, is sitting down with them and doing a consultation where we go over what their needs are, wants and needs, right? Do they want to buy a new house? Are they moving out of state? Are they looking for a bigger house? If it's a bigger house, we also explore the option of maybe them remodeling their home, maybe adding square footage, if that's an option. Especially in today's market, inventory is so tight that it's hard to say to somebody, I want to sell my house. Oh, no problem. We can find you what you're looking for, because we can,
Yeah.
but it's not without its hardships, right? So we want to explore all the easy things first to make sure that this is a road they want to go down. Once we do the consultation, then we list the house. And then, of course, our concierge service kind of kicks in at that point, depending on what the home looks like. We come in, we do some light painting, we might do some minor touch-ups, we might do some fixing of things. Doors don't work, little things, electrical outlets, things like that.
Yeah.
We do a consultation with one of our preferred designers, which they come into the house and they'll say, hey, we need to change. This couch is too big here, this table's too big or too small, and so forth. And then we'll determine at that point if we need to bring in furniture.
Gotcha.
Right? Do we use the client's furniture? Is it really nice? Or is it better to bring in stage furniture to make the house look nicer so we can get them top dollar? Because that's really what it comes down to, is the emotion of the buyer coming into the house. Are they going to fall in love with it? Sometimes if you notice, whenever buyers go into new construction, they're always done perfectly, right? With staging, painting, the finishes that they use, right? And of course, every time you buy a new home, it's like, oh, I'd like this house. Okay, well, the base model is this. Yeah. This house has ... and they give you a list of all the stuff that they have that's not included in the purchase of the home. The reason they do that is because they want to create the emotion with the buyer to make sure that they love the house and they want to buy it. So we want to do the same thing with our clients' houses. We want to make sure that the buyer falls in love with the house. The nice thing about our houses is that whatever they see in the house, they're keeping, right? Not the furniture, but anything else that we've done to the house, any kind of painting or remodeling or windows or anything that we may have done. Once we do that, then our marketing kind of kicks in. Then we have the photographer, the videographer, the Matterport. We do all that. We set up their custom website. So that probably takes anywhere from 10 to 14 days to get done before we actually hit the market live. Once we've done everything, we want to hit the ground running. Right? We got all the marketing ready to go, all the pieces, all the print marketing done, all the social media is ready to go, all the campaigns are ready to go out. We do our best to try to get here in Newport Beach. The broker preview is either Thursday or Friday, depending on which side of the water you're on. And so depending on that, that's when we launch the property, that either Thursday or Friday. And then we do the grand open house on the weekend, right? To make sure that we want to take care of what we like to call the magic 30 days. That's when a property is new, it's exciting, right? Yeah. All the buyers want to come see it. We want to take advantage of all that emotion to get people to compete against each other to get our client the most money for the sale of their home.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So once we've done that, hopefully that will generate some offers. And then what we do with the offers is not just, a lot of people think like it's all about the money. And although the money probably is the biggest factor that our clients look at. We want to look at terms also, right? If somebody offers you $5 million for a property, but they're doing financing and their financing doesn't look great, they haven't gotten approved, right? Maybe they're borrowing a couple $1 million, but they've got 3 million, but the 3 million isn't liquid.
Yeah.
When there's a lot of that stuff, we want to look at somebody who's got liquid, like somebody who's true cash, whose money is liquid, that we talk to their investment banker, whoever it is that's providing the funds, to say, yeah, this money is liquid. We can transfer it, in a matter of a week or 10 days. We have clients who have a lot of money tied into investments, and it takes a while to liquidate.
Yeah.
Right. So we want to make sure that, hey, is that the case? Because if it is, maybe they can't perform as well as they claim to on the offer. So we're not looking just at the money. We're looking at the financial stability of the client and how well the funds are seasoned or readily available and liquid. Then the other things we look at is terms, inspections. Are they looking for a 5-day inspection period? Typical is 17. In today's market, their buyers are being more aggressive and they're going between 5 and 10. So we look at that. Are they doing a 5-day inspection period, a 7-day, a 10-day, a 17-day? If there is a loan, what type of loan contingency are they looking at? Are they doing 17-day, 21-day? Right, 21 is the standard, but most people, if they've talked to a lender and they've gotten underwriter approval, can usually close a little bit sooner. Right, within 14 days, 15 days, they can remove the contingency. So we're looking at all the contingency periods, and the biggest one is that a lot of sellers don't want in today's market is when they have a buyer that has a contingency of having to sell their personal residence, right? Because now you've got the contingencies of your buyer. However, when they have to sell a house, so if you back up one step to another sale, there's an unknown buyer at the time, right? This buyer could come in and be really bad financially, inspections period. So now you're married to that buyer through your escrow, through that contingency.
The in-law.
Yeah. Well, and even closer than that. I mean, it's you're literally married to that deal. If that deal doesn't go through, your deal doesn't go through.
Yeah.
So we want to make sure we look at that. We want to make sure that what does a contingency look like? So we'd like to, if we get a contingency where the buyer has to sell a property, we would like to at least see it in escrow. The reason for it is because then we're entitled to see the escrow and the purchase contract so that we can look. Now, not only are we vetting our buyer, we're also vetting their buyer, right? So that we can go to our seller and say, Mr. Seller, Mrs. Seller, here's your buyer, A+, everything checks. Their buyer, here's their buyer, right? A+, everything checks. We're good. So if that's the best offer, and then we always leave it up to the seller to say, here's buyer number one, here's their terms. We do a nice Excel spreadsheet where it lists everything so they can contract this. By the time you're done, you're looking at 21 pages with disclosures.
Yeah.
So we don't want to make it confusing for the seller. So we do a 1-page spreadsheet where it says buyer A, and then it has all the notable terms like how much money, deposit, all that stuff. And then we compare it. That way they can compare apples to apples. So they look at each buyer, A, B, C, or D, whatever that might be, and then go down that column and say, oh, this guy has this, and oh, he's better than all these guys, right? And that way they can make an informed decision based on each individual buyer and hopefully pick the best one. And again, it's like we do our best to use science to try to pick the best one, but it becomes an art form. We've had buyers that are 100%, 100%, I would say an A buyer, right? Ready to go.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, things change and they want to cancel escrow because maybe they realize, oh, you know what? We're not moving because of A, B, or C, some of the unknown.
Sure.
Right. So we try to do our best to find out as much as we can about the buyer so that the seller can make an informed decision based on what we have on the table.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I mean, one thing that kind of came to mind, you must get a lot of pushback from sellers with how much work you're having them put into the house. Are they paying for that? Like, why would they want to do that?
We really don't get any pushback because we do it all ourselves. So we have a concierge program, our own team, the Renner Concierge. And what we do is we provide the sellers, we'll walk through the property. Now, of course, we're not doing a full remodel for $100,000, but we're coming in and we're spending thousands of dollars in, either painting, carpet cleaning. We do window washing. We do professional deep cleaning by cleaners. We do the staging. We do the designer consultation. We do all the smoke detectors, the water heaters, all the little things that when you live in a house, you may not realize you haven't done. You know, the door that squeaks or the cabinet that doesn't close, any of those little things, we take care of it. And no, the reason we don't get a pushback is because, again, we're not expecting our sellers to do it. We take care of it.
Yeah.
You know, so there's really no need. There's no reason for them to push back because it's 100% benefit to them and there's no risk involved.
That's fantastic. Yeah. So you present the science, the chart of all the offers. You know, one's got a loan contingency, one's got inspections, whatnot. Okay. You choose one. What's next?
Then you counter. Well, if all the terms on that offer are exactly what the seller wants and what's in his best or his or her best interest, then we can accept the offer as is. I'll tell you, we do end up a lot of times accepting offers because the way we do business is a little bit different. We have the conversation with the buyer's agent. We explain to them what is important to our seller. So we're not doing that negotiating through going back and forth with counters. We try to get the best and cleanest offer from the get-go. So my job is to have that conversation with every prospective buyer and say, hey, here's what our seller's looking at. Tell me a little bit about your situation.
Yeah.
Right? Because, for instance, rent back is a big thing right now. Sellers want rent back because they want time to go look for property. So I'll ask the buyer, hey, what are your intentions in purchasing this home? Do you have to be in at the close of escrow? And if they say, no, not really, because we live here and we're going to stay there, fantastic. If you could do a rent back for this period of time, it would be very, very beneficial to the seller.
Yeah.
So if they could do it, all right, if we get all that up front, our seller can actually go through the whole offer and accept it as is. The problem is a lot of agents don't want to have that conversation with buyers because they don't just put the time into it, right? However, you don't realize like an ounce of prevention today is worth a pound of medicine later on, right? So spend the 10 minutes that it would take to have a conversation with every prospective buyer so that they're educated in the needs and wants of your seller.
Yeah.
Because the whole thing is their job to put together the best offer that they can for the seller.
Yeah.
So in other words, if they can't do a rent back, it's understandable, right? If they can't do it, they can't do it. But at least they were giving that opportunity to do so. So therefore, when we have the conversation with the seller, we can say, Mr. Seller, you know, we have 3 offers, A, B, and C. Unfortunately, A is the best offer, but they couldn't do a rent back. B could do a rent back. C could do a rent back, but this is where they're at, right?
Yeah.
So now the seller could look at it and say, gosh, you know what? For the amount of money I'm getting here or for the time of escrow they're doing, I'm okay without a rent back, right? But you don't know that if you don't have that conversation up front.
Yeah.
Now you're having to counter to find out if they could do a rent back, right? And then it doesn't put your seller in a really great position because now they're having to wait 2 or 3 days to get that answer, and you could lose offer B or C because you're trying to get information that you should have gotten in the beginning.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
So you accept the offer and you open escrow.
Yeah.
How long does that usually take?
The actual of accepting the offer, a day or two, you know, between going back and forth. Once you open escrow, again, every offer is different, but you'll have time periods that you have to follow that we can cover during the escrow process, right? Because the escrow process, even though there's certain different responsibilities for the buyer and seller, the timelines are the same, right? Because they're both adhering to certain timelines. So once we open escrow, the biggest thing at that point is waiting for the deposit to come in. And typically, unless it's changed in the contract, right? Because the default is 3 business days. So one of the biggest misconceptions that people have is that you open escrow on Thursday, right? Friday is day 1. The day you open escrow, and let me rephrase that. When you get it accepted, the actual purchase contract says residential purchase agreement and joint escrow instructions. So the minute that's accepted, escrow is officially open.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean that there's an escrow company yet, but the escrow period, all the timelines have started. So Thursday is day 0. Friday is day 1. Saturday is day 2. Sunday is day 3. However, for the purpose of the deposit, Saturday and Sunday don't count.
Right.
Because they're business days and you can't wire money Saturday or Sunday.
Yeah.
So Friday's day 1, Saturday doesn't count, Sunday doesn't count. So now you go to Monday's day 2 and Tuesday would be day 3. So the deposit is due on Tuesday. So you open escrow Thursday, deposit is due on Tuesday.
Yeah.
So during those, in this particular case, 5 days, because you have the weekend, you're waiting to see if the money comes in, because until that money comes in, technically you don't have a contract.
Gotcha.
Right? In order to consummate a purchase agreement contract with the buyer seller, money has to be put into escrow as a deposit.
Yep.
So
then you work through escrow,
Mhm.
normal contingencies, whatnot,
Yeah.
time periods, close escrow, and boom, house is sold.
Yeah, house is sold. There's 2 big days in the escrow period, which is the funding, we call. Funding is if there's a lender involved, the lender has to send the money into escrow. And technically, we always want to have 2 days for that. You fund one day, you record the next, which is the official closing. There are times if we fund early enough, or if time is of the essence where we need to close it. In Orange County, in LA County, you can't do this, but in Orange County, you could do what's called a special recording. So it means that you can condense the 2 days into one. But if you plan ahead and you do this right, you don't need to do that. The only
Right.
time we ever do that is if there's something happened where the lender couldn't meet the deadlines, and they're having to rush it. And so we're having to, like, as the lender pushes this out, it pushes the end date. And sometimes in order to not push that anymore, we kind of piggyback off of the funding. But, would love to cover that during an escrow. Maybe we could do an escrow podcast so we can actually
great.
go through all the contingencies and what they actually mean to the buyer and what they mean to the seller.
Right. Well, that's how you sell your home in today's market, and that's
In a
the
nutshell.
process. So thank you guys for tuning in. It's our pleasure
Thank
to
you
do
very
this.
much.
And if you have any sort of real estate needs, questions, or just looking for advice, feel free to reach out to us. It's our pleasure to serve you guys. You guys have a great rest of your day, and see you next week. Bye-bye.